Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining our session today. Good to have you all join us. If you know somebody who wants to land a job in the data space, they need to be in this session today. All right. So let's get more people into the session. And I want us to have an amazing, amazing interactive session. So if you have any questions, please feel free. Let's have an interactive session today. And I'll be walking you through why now is the best time for you to get started, get into a data career. It doesn't matter where you are, why this is the best time to get started. Our presentation would take roughly about an hour, and then would have questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please feel free, write your questions down somewhere and feel free to ask those questions before we call it a day. Make sure you don't have any distractions. Take away distractions, jot things down so you can take things away from today's session. We'll discuss around the mistakes people make when they want to transition and how you can avoid those mistakes. Have a strategy that actually works. All right. So let's dive into the main meats of our session today. But before we get started, I want to know where you are joining from. So just type into the chat. I'm currently joining from Alberta, Canada. So type into the chat and let's know where you're joining from. Okay, type into the chat and let's know where you're joining from. You're joining from the UK, joining from the US, joining from Canada. Just type into the chat and let's see where you are all joining from. So while we do that, we'll get started with the main meat of our session today. All right, I haven't seen any comments in the chat yet. Where are you joining from? Type into the chat. It will help to tailor the session to you specifically. You're joining from the UK, for example. There are so many changes around the white paper, the new reforms that will be implemented. How does that affect you? If you're in Canada trying to get a job through different pathways, permanent residency, provincial nomination, express entry, how does getting into a data career also affect you? We're going to discuss this and many more in our session today. All right. So before we get started, who is Tenalytics and what are we all about? And why is now the best time for you to get into a data career? For us, we are an educational technology company, the leading educational technology company focused on helping professionals land high paying jobs in different areas, including data analytics, data science, data engineering, cybersecurity, agile project management, and so many other areas. And over the last 4 years, we've helped over 2,855 and counting to land their very first jobs in the tech ecosystem. So moving from roles from care workers to becoming data analysts, from accountants to becoming data scientists, from logistic professionals to becoming data engineers, and so on and so forth. So how did they make that transition and how can you also make that transition? So that's what we do for us at Analytics. And for me, my name is Adeza Suleiman, and I'm the founder of Tenalytics. I have over a decade experience in data analytics and management consulting. And using the platform of Tenalytics, we've helped so many other people like me that look like me who also want to make that switch into the tech ecosystem. My first degree was in industrial chemistry, nothing related to tech, nothing related to computer science. But I made the switch very early in my career. And I'll be sharing with you how you can also do the same and how over 2,800 plus people have done the same. And they're currently in a high paying role, highly progressive role, and also roles that ensures that you are relevant over the next few years. I've worked across multiple regions from the US to the UK to Canada. I've worked across multiple roles as well, from a data analyst to a management information systems analyst with some of the biggest companies across the globe. I currently live and reside in Alberta, Canada, and I'll be sharing my experience with you today. All right. Now, why get into a data career? That's the big question anybody would like to ask. Why should I get into a data career? And the simple answer to that is the demand for data roles today is unprecedented. One of the career paths that would land you a job the fastest is a role in data. And the reason is very simple. And I like to share this with people whenever I have the chance to. All right. We generate the volume and the veracity at which we generate data today has never been done before. We generate data at an unprecedented rate. Every single platform, every single tool you use today, one way or the other, generates data. Now, data in itself, and arguably 90% of the data that exists across the globe today was generated in the last 5 to 6 years. And the world has arguably been in existence for over 300,000 years. So we are generating data at an unprecedented rate. However, data is useless if you cannot analyze and make sense of that data. All right. So if you can't analyze the data, if you can't handle, store the data, manage the data, analyze to extract information or extract insights, the data is useless. So just imagine crude oil extracted from the ground. It's useless until you are able to refine the crude oil. Data is exactly the same. Data is your crude oil. If you can't analyze the data, you cannot make sense out of that data. So organizations are looking for professionals who have the skills to help them manage the data, analyze the data, extract insights from the data to help them take data-driven decisions to grow their businesses and innovate and so on. And that's the reason, the major reason, number one reason why you want to get into a data role today across the globe. It doesn't matter where you are. All right. So we have people joining from different regions, from the UK, from Dallas, Texas, from the US. The chat was disabled initially. Okay. All right. So we have Cornelia joining from England and absolutely phenomenal representation across multiple roles. Now, one of the things we do at Analytics is we look at the global space. Every single year, we analyze data across multiple job boards because we want to know where are the jobs, where is the demand, what roles are employers hiring for, what roles are recruitment consultants hiring for. So we take data from across multiple regions, the major job boards like Glassdoor, CV Library, read.co.uk, UK Visa Jobs, Workopolis, Job Boom, and so on and so forth. We take all these data, we scrape data from these job boards. We analyze the data to identify the career path that are high in demand. So we look for where the demand is. Okay. Where is the demand today? Which career path would land me a job? If I'm in the UK, if I'm in Europe, I'm in the US, I'm in Canada, I'm in Asia, which career path would land me a job? Then we also look at reputable organizations like the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports. So the World Economic Forum every 2 years would release a report called The Future of Jobs. And this shows you the career path that are in demand today, that would grow in demand in the next 5 to 10 years, and the career path that will decline in demand. So it only makes sense that if I'm thinking of transitioning, I moved to Canada, I'm looking for a job, I'm currently stuck doing the menial jobs, but I want to land a job. Would I move into a career path that is on the decline? The answer is no. So how do I identify? So we looked at reputable organizations like the World Economic Forum to look at a global view. No matter where I am, the skills I have, the career path I'm moving into, a career path that would always stay relevant. And then we also look at the regional analysis. So we look at the UK, we look at the US, we look at Canada. Where are the jobs today? In the UK, for example, we look at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. Now, anybody in the UK, around anybody who wants to get a job, who wants to transition, if you are in school, you are a dependent of a student, primary applicant is a student, you are a dependent, then the upcoming white paper, the implementation, the reforms of the immigration reforms would affect you one way or the other. All right. So the big question is, how would it affect me? One of the major policies in that paper, in that document, is the increase of the threshold for the skilled worker visa. So it's increasing from RQF level 3 to RQF level 6. And a lot of people don't know what this means. But let me break it down, in a very simple form so you easily understand what this means. As of today, you can get visa sponsorship if you get a job as a chef. You can get visa sponsorship. If you get a job as a care worker, you can also get visa sponsorship. Now, these roles as a chef fall under RQF level 3. So what is RQF level 3? It's simply the regulated qualifications framework. That's what it means. It's used to classify the complexity of a job. So when you look at a job and it's classified based on the complexity, who are the type of people that can do these jobs? RQF level 3 is simply the classification of jobs with the complexity level of somebody who has a high school A levels. Okay, high school A levels. That's the classification. So the UK is saying that we're no longer going to give sponsorship. We want to make changes to this. We don't want to give sponsorship to roles that are qualified under high school A levels. These are not highly skilled professionals. We want to give, sponsorship to level 6 roles. And level 6 roles are simply job roles that are classified under the complexity level of bachelor's, either a BSc, a BSc, or a BA. So today, if I have a job as a data analyst, for example, a data analyst role falls under RQF level 6. It's always been on that and even above. So RQF level 7 is complexity, categorized under master's degree and so on. RQF level 8, which is the maximum, is classified under the complexity level of a PhD. So they are saying that we want to keep highly skilled professionals or attract highly skilled professionals into the UK. And if the reforms are implemented, any RQF level 3 role, so if you're in hospitality, you're a chef, you're a support worker, a care worker, a domiciliary care worker, and so on, you would no longer have sponsorship. All right. And apart from that, you'd have limitations coming up for those even on that particular type of visa. So these are some of the key considerations. And for a data analyst, you have no worries. For a data scientist, you have no worries. For a data engineer, you have no worries because these are roles that are classified under RQF level 6 and above. Okay, so that's one thing you need to know. Where are the opportunities? You want to focus on that. And people ask the question, why is this the case? Why are these reforms even happening? Why are they moving from level 3 to level 6? And some of the answers, there are answers to these questions. And one of the answer is simply prior to COVID, after COVID and its resultant effects, that was when RQF level 3 was also included as job roles that could also come with sponsorship, because they needed to hire a lot of healthcare workers, people getting into the health and care space, and so on and so forth. But the moment RQF level 3 was also opened up for sponsorship, what happened? The number of visa sponsorship to these roles increased from 10% to 60%. So visa sponsorship were focused largely around the RQF level 3 roles, which are classified under high school, A levels, and thereabouts. So the UK is simply saying, this is too high. We want to reduce 60% of sponsorship going into RQF level 3, and we want to bring it back to level 6. But that's just to show you where not just even organizations, but countries are looking to keep the highly skilled talents within their country and also encourage highly skilled professionals to come into the country. So I've kept all the links right here for you to see, and we're going to look at them one after the other. But if I go into the UK, for example, and I want to see the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa, and I click on that link, it takes me here. All right. And what this shows me clearly are the job roles that are eligible for the skilled worker visa. And of course, if I scroll all the way down, I'm going to drop the different codes. If I scroll all the way down to 213, 2133, 2135, 2134, and so on. Programmers and software development professionals. Okay, so if you're a programmer, you can use Python, for example, as a data scientist. You can apply to roles like this. If you go to 3544, you would clearly see where you have the data analyst roles. Data analyst. So if I'm a data analyst, am I eligible for the skilled worker visa? The answer is yes. So if you're in the UK today or you're planning to transition and you're planning to transition into any data related role, the increase of the thresholds to RQF level 6 does not even affect you. All right, just so that you have that at the back of your mind. So what you want to do is to go through the skilled, this eligible occupations, and you'd clearly see the roles that are eligible for you to apply for a skilled worker visa. So if I get a COS, a certificate of sponsorship, what it simply means is I can apply, get my skilled worker visa, stay on a pathway to ILR, and so on and so forth. Okay, now for those in the US, we looked at the job titles with the highest H-1B acceptance rates. So which roles are employers petitioning for the H-1B visa? And in Canada, we looked at the different provincial nominee programs across different provinces, from Alberta, the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the Saskatchewan Tech Talent Pathway, and so on and so forth. And if you look at these different roles, these different programs, you would also get to find out. If we go to the Saskatchewan Tech Talent Pathway, for example, you'd see the priority roles for both non-express entry and express entry. You'd see the priority roles for PMP, provincial nomination. You'd see the data scientist, all right, clearly indicated, the data scientist. You'd see the database analyst, the data administrators. These are your data analyst roles, your data engineering roles. They fall under that particular knock code. And if you go through all the other provincial nominations, you get to see that these are the priority career path for not just organizations, but also for different countries. All right. So if you want access to the link to my slide to get access to all the links I'll be sharing today, make sure you fill the attendance form so you get access to all these materials. Now, looking at all these different analyses, there are so many career paths you want to go into. A business analyst role, data analyst, data scientist, data engineer, agile project manager, cybersecurity analyst, financial analyst, HR analyst. But our focus today are on three major career paths: the data analyst, the data scientist, and the data engineer. These are three, core data roles, and how can you get into any of these career paths? All right. And looking at the World Economic Forum, like I mentioned earlier, the focus for you is I want to see the career path that are growing. At the left-hand side, these are the career path that would grow and the career path that would decline at the right-hand side. Number one career path that would grow: the big data specialist, the data warehousing specialist, the data engineers. These are data engineering roles. And what do? They ensure that all the data generated are extracted from wherever they're generated and they're made available in a central location called a data warehouse. And I'm going to explain what each of these roles entail, what they do in the real world, and so on and so forth. I'll break it down in a way that you understand clearly. All right. But when you see the career path that are not just in demands today, but the career path that would grow over the next 5 to 10 years, then you want to get into the data engineering roles, big data specialist, data warehousing specialist, and so on and so forth. Then you have the AI machine learning specialist and the data analyst, data scientist. These are the data analyst and the data scientist roles. These are roles that are not just high in demands today, but roles that will keep on growing over the next 5 to 10 years. So when you look at where do I want to be to stay relevant, you want to consider these career paths. And of course, you have the business intelligence analyst. As a BI analyst, you are a data analyst. BI analyst is a derivative of the data analyst role, is a subset of the data analyst role. And of course, you have the database architects. These are also data engineers. So when you look at the World Economic Forum that shows you where the world is going, clearly you get to see that if you find yourself in any of these three career paths, as a data analyst, as a data engineer, as a data scientist, you'd be in a career path that would land you a job very, very fast. And one of the mistakes people make is they assume wrongly that because I'm doing data analytics or data science, I can only get a job as a data scientist. But that's a very wrong assumption. As a data analyst, I can get a job as a business intelligence analyst. I can get a job as a sales analyst, as a database analyst, data administrator. I can get a job if I'm a data scientist, so I complete the data science program. I can get a job as a machine learning engineer. I can get a job as an NLP developer, natural language processing developer, and so many other roles. So one of the things we show you how to do at Analytics is we show you how to identify multiple roles within a particular career path. So the type of jobs you apply to are a whole lot more than those without that type of information. All right. So once you understand where you want to get to out of these three career paths, it becomes easier for you to focus and start to implement the strategy to get there. So I want you to type into the chat. All right. Out of these three career paths, which one of them are you interested in? Which one of these three career paths are you interested in? Just type into the chat. Which of these three career paths are you interested in? You can have more than one. And by the time we are done with today's session, you'd understand clearly where you want to focus on. All right. Hamana Bakari says data and BI engineer. That's interesting. BI engineer. Okay. Data analyst from Princess. Fola says DA. Oluwajomiloju says data science. Morufat, data analyst. Derek, data science, data analyst. Nomi says data science and data analytics. Absolutely phenomenal. All right. Now, somebody is asking about project management. Today's session is why this is the time to get into data careers. Okay. So we're not talking about project management today, even though that's one of the programs that we offer at Analytics. Okay, so today's session is for the data engineering role, the data science role, the data analytics role. If you've ever wondered what it takes to get into any of these three career paths, I'll be focusing on that today. Okay, what do they do? How do you get into any of these areas? What mistakes are you making if you're already currently in the process of trying to get into these career paths? And one of the mistakes, like I mentioned, is people complete programs and they apply to only data engineering roles, even though there are multiple other roles within that career path. For example, we had one of our participants who got a job as an ETL developer with the NHS on full visa sponsorship. So ETL developer is simply, ETL means extract, transform, and load. So what do? You create pipelines to move data from one location to the other location. Okay, so you need to understand these different pathways. And like I mentioned, if you want to get my slide at the end of the session, please the attendance form. So the question is, how do you get started? How do you move into any of these career paths? And for us at Analytics, we adopt a strategy called the learn, package, and apply. And I would explain exactly what this entails. So how do you learn? First things first, which is what you've done, is to select one of the career paths you are interested in. Data analytics, data science, data engineering. Once you've done that, the next step is for you to focus on one. And the reason why focus is important is because a lot of people don't know how to eliminate alternatives. Okay? You want to do everything. You want to be a data analyst, you want to be a data engineer. At the same time, you want to be a data scientist. It's important to focus. Where do I want to be? About 12 years ago, I made that decision that I want to be a data analyst. And I focused on that. And here I am today. So eliminate alternatives. What are the alternatives? If I'm focusing on data analytics, I'm going to eliminate data science and data engineering, and I'm going to give data analytics all my focus. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Somebody says, oh, the best career path is project management. I'm doing data analytics. Somebody says the best career path is business analysis. I'm doing data analytics. So you know how to focus. Once you've done that, which most of you have done, you've typed the career path. Next step is for you to package. And one of the ways we help you do this is through your CVs. So some of the mistakes I see are CVs that are not keyword optimized, not up to the industry standard. They cannot simply pass the ATS system, the applicant tracking software. Every application you put out there, most organization would not read your CV. A human being doesn't read your CV. It's done by the applicant tracking software. So do you have the right keywords on the job requirements on your CV? Because that's the way the ATS would look at the keywords and do a job match. By how much do you match this particular job? 80%, 90% before you get an interview invite. So if you see in the job requirements that the job says vacancy somewhere for a data analyst role, and it says we want somebody that knows how to use MS Power BI, okay, MS Power BI, and on your CV, you don't have MS Power BI. You rather have something like Microsoft Power BI, okay? These are not the same thing. Now we think because we know that MS is a short form of Microsoft, MS Power BI, Microsoft Power BI, this is what is on the job vacancy, but this is what is on your CV. You might be getting the wrong match when the ATS would look for those keywords, because the ATS would look for MS Power BI, but it would not find it on your CV. Okay, so you want to ensure you know how to tailor your CV. You know how to ensure that your CV is keyword optimized and so on. So we do this for you. For anybody who joins the 10 Analytics program, we work on your CV. We give you the industry standard. We show you how to go ahead and tailor your CV to multiple jobs. All right. So that's one of the first things you need to know. You're making this mistake using one CV to apply to multiple jobs. You're going to apply for a very long time and you will not get a job. Then you have your LinkedIn. So I go to your LinkedIn profile, for example, you are a data analyst or you claim to be a data analyst, but you don't have posts relating to data analytics. You don't talk about your journey. You don't talk about the type of tools, technologies, the problems you are solving that are data related. Nobody would hire you. Nobody would look at you as somebody who knows what they are doing. All right. So your LinkedIn must be optimized to have the right persona as that person who says he or she is a data analyst or a data scientist or a data engineer. And I'm going to show you samples of people who got jobs following all these different strategies I'm listing out. So your LinkedIn profile must be optimized. And these are some of the things we also show you how to do. We optimize your LinkedIn profile, show you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile from your headline to your about section and every single thing you have on LinkedIn. And then you have your portfolio. I can't overemphasize the importance of having a portfolio. And a lot of people don't know what a portfolio looks like. All right. But you want to get a job as a data analyst or a data scientist. That would be making a very big mistake. Your portfolio is your evidence that you can do the job. Your portfolio is where you warehouse all the projects that you've completed and serves as evidence to a prospective employer that you can do the job because you've done it before. Okay, and I'd like to ask this question. Let's assume you want to buy a couch in your living room. Okay, you want to buy a couch, and there are two carpenters you are considering, Carpenter A and Carpenter B. Carpenter A has a certificate on his wall that says he can build, create, construct couches and give to you. Carpenter B does not have any certificates, but they have a showroom, and the showroom has multiple couches, different colors, different texture. You can go into the showroom, touch and feel the type of couch you'd like to buy. Which of these two carpenters would you buy your couch from? The one with the certificate or the one with the showroom? A or B? Type into the chat. A or B? Noni says B. Zara says B. Pretty Damsel says B. Evidence speaks volume. Absolutely. Everybody says B. I would also choose B. But guess what? A lot of people present themselves as Carpenter A. I've completed the certification. I have that certification, and that qualifies me to land a job. Nobody will give you a job if you have evidence. I love that. I love that statement that evidence speaks volume. So you must have evidence. You must have a showroom where people can go into, they can see what you've done, and they are confident that you're the right person to do this job. That's what your portfolio is. And I'm going to show you what a portfolio looks like in, practically what it looks like. And this is what we also show you how to build. Build a portfolio. All the projects you work on, you warehouse them in that portfolio. Then you have your mentorship sessions every single Thursdays. Thursdays in the evenings, you have mentorship. And mentorship is simply that particular process that shortens your learning time. Okay? Imagine I've worked as a data analyst for over 12 years, and you are just getting started, and you have an interview, and you get to work with me to prepare you for that interview. I looking at the job requirements alone, I can preempt all the questions that are likely going to come up. And we have a mock interview session for you to prepare for that particular interview. And that's how you land the job. Your mentorship session will reduce the time it will take for you to transition by more than half. Because all the mistakes I made, you will not make those same mistakes. And that's the beauty of mentorship. Then you have interview prep. If you're trying to land a job today as a data engineer and you're not being prepared, you don't have somebody who is a data engineer, who's worked as a data engineer, prepare you for that interview. You're likely going to make mistakes, very big mistakes, and you'd have to learn from your own mistakes when you can learn from other people's mistakes. So interview prep is absolutely important for you if you want to land a job. And we have our interview prep sessions. All you have to do, click on the link, book your interview prep, select your preferred dates, and I'll show you how you get to do that. And of course, when you get a job, you need a reputable organization to provide a reference. All right. And a lot of people who, let's say you work as a care worker today, or you work in a hotel, or you work in the warehouse, and now you've gone through a program, you've gotten an offer for a data analyst role, and they request for you to provide references. Do you provide a reference from a care home for a data analyst related job? It makes no sense, right? So you want to provide references from organizations that can vouch for the type of skills that you have. That would give your skills a whole lot more credence and you being able to secure that job. And that's what we do. We provide you with references as well. You must have reputable organizations that can vouch for the skills that you have. And finally, on the job support. So if you've gotten the job and you're on a project that seems a bit difficult for you because you've never done that type of project before, we also prepare you, work with you for a month to ensure that you have a solid footing on that job and you are able to keep the job. Finally, applying. How do I apply? Do I use one CV? Am I one of those people that use one CV to apply to 100 jobs and expecting to get a positive outcome? Am I one of those people that use Easy Apply when applying on CV Library, applying on read.co.uk? Do I use Easy Apply? On LinkedIn, do I use Easy Apply? Or do I know how to tailor my CV to every single job application? So we show you how to tailor. At Tenalytics, you never use one CV to apply to two jobs. It's one CV to one job. And that's where you get the right outcome in terms of interviews and eventually landing a job. Number of jobs you need to put in. On the average, you need about 267 job applications, quality job applications to land a job offer. So the earlier you know what you are faced with, the easier it is for you to start working towards it. All right. So we show you where to apply, how to apply, the number, the volume, and not just volume, but quality volume to ensure you get the right results. And of course, if you apply on only LinkedIn, you'll get the same results people who apply on LinkedIn would get. You want to get sponsorship, but you're applying on Glassdoor, on Indeed, on CV Library, on read.co.uk, you would get exactly the same results other people get, which is no sponsorship. All right. So what do you do in this case? And what we do for us at Analytics is we pay to job boards that are not free, they are paid. UK Visa Jobs is one of them. Visa Jobs HQ is another one. And these are just two out of so many. We pay to these job boards and they collate unique visa sponsor jobs, roles that are not available to the general public. We scrape those jobs and we send them to you every single week. So you apply to data analyst, data science roles, data engineering roles that the general public does not have access to. Just a few people who would go ahead and subscribe. So you're applying to unique jobs, give you a better chance of landing interviews and eventually landing those jobs. You're not doing these things in detail, you will struggle to land a job. So you need to know the right skills to learn, the technical skills, knowing how to package yourself to land a job, the right CV, the right LinkedIn, having a portfolio, knowing what to say during interviews, starting with small talk, knowing how to show that you have the experience to fit into their culture, irrespective of where you are. Canadian work experience, UK work experience. How do you show that you can fit into the culture? And eventually, how do you apply? Where do you apply? How do you tailor your CV to job applications? And that's what gets you the job. Okay. So I'm going to show you all of these things practically, how you can do them. All right. From learning the skills to what a portfolio looks like, to how to structure your LinkedIn profile, and so on and so forth, in order to land a data related job. But one of the questions people would always ask is, Adeza, have people done this before? Is there anybody who has gotten a job, gotten a visa sponsored job, for example, or even gotten a job as a data engineer, as a data scientist, as a data analyst? So I'm going to share a few success stories, and then we'll dive into more interesting areas in our session today. So this is a fantastic gentleman. His name is Gad. Gad moved to the UK as a student. He was doing his master's in the student, but very quickly he realized that he needed a little bit more to land a job after completing his master's. He joined our data engineering program, and today, in January this year, 2025, he landed a job with the NHS as a data warehousing and ETL developer. Okay, so Gad was a mechanical engineer, studied in Nigeria, moved to the UK for his master's, but today he's a data warehouse and ETL developer on full visa sponsorship with the NHS. Okay. And how did he do this? The same process, the same strategy I've just mentioned. He joined our data engineering program, completed his program in July. 2024, July last year. He packaged himself. He tailored the CV to a data engineering CV. He joined all the mentorship sessions. He got multiple interviews and he was able to book interview preparatory sessions so that he represented himself in the best way possible. All right. He also built a portfolio to showcase all the projects that he's worked on. So if I click on God's portfolio, for example, if I click on this, it takes me to his portfolio showcasing all the projects he has worked on. So if I'm the hiring manager, for example, and God's the link to his portfolio is on his CV. So I've seen the CV, I click on the link, it takes me to his portfolio. All right. So what technologies can God use? Python, Jupyter Notebook, and so on and so forth. All right. And I can see the projects that he has completed in his portfolio. I can click on any of these projects and I can look at them. I can click on this project, for example, energy efficient residential building model. So this was where he analyzed the energy efficiency of different buildings and he uploaded it into his portfolio and he completed this project while he was in class, taking his data engineering program with us. So if I click on this, it takes me to the project. I can read the documentation, what the project is all about, how he got his data sets, what models did he use, and more importantly, I can look at his codes, the codes he wrote using Python. I can click on this notebook and I can see clearly what God was able to write. Okay. The libraries he used, how he was able to clean his data, summarize his data, and so on and so forth. I can see everything clearly. And I can tell that anybody who is able to do this can perform the job, can do the job I want to hire them for. This is your showroom. Just like the way you said Carpenter B, who has a showroom with evidence of what the type of couches that it built, constructed. This is your own showroom where anybody should be able to go to your showroom and see the type of projects that you've completed. Okay, I'm going to show you more portfolios so you see clearly how these portfolios would look like and how you can also build yours. So God was able to do all of this. He applied to multiple jobs, tailored his applications to specific job roles, and eventually this year, January 2025, he landed a job as an ETL data warehouse and ETL developer with the NHS. And his job came with sponsorship. So a lot of people are looking for sponsorship. Oh, I'm about to finish my master's. The UK is currently in the process of reforming the duration for the post-study visa from 2 years to 18 months, 1.5 years. How do I ensure I'm able to get sponsorship with all these changes? God was able to do this. In less than 5 months after completing the program, he landed this job. And this is one story. I'm going to show you God's LinkedIn very, very quickly. So we start to see how we can also for those trying to make the switch. All right. How was God able to do this? How can I do it if I'm also trying to get a job? Okay. So I'm going to go to God's profile. God. Let's see what pops up. Yeah. So that's God over there. I struggle to pronounce his surname, so I just call him God. So that's God over there currently. So one of the first things you'd see is you both worked at Tenalytics. And that's very important. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. Okay. But if you go to God's profile, you'd see Azure data engineer with Tenalytics and data warehouse ETL developer with the NHS. Okay. And he started his job in January this year. So he works remotely and he also works in office. It's a hybrid role, full visa sponsorship. Now, the reason why you'd see this here, like I mentioned earlier, you want a reputable organization to provide you with a reference. When you structure and position yourself as a candidate who knows the job, who is on the job, employers are more confident to speak to you and eventually hire you because they believe you can do the job. Okay. So one of the benefits of joining Tenalytics is the ability to list Tenalytics as part of your work experience. because you don't join us as a student, you join us as a contractor, as a consultant. So you get to work on projects, complete those projects, upload to your portfolio as evidence. And that's what also constitutes part of your experience. And that was what made Gad attractive to the NHS. He applied, they did all the different checks. They saw that this is somebody who can do the job. They saw his portfolio. We prepared him for his interviews and he landed the job. All right. You have somebody like Ikmat. Ikmat was a stay at home mom, also in the UK. From a stay at home mom to a data analyst. God was a data engineer, completed data engineering, got a job as a data warehouse ETL developer in January. Ikmat, data analytics, got a job with the NHS. She was a stay-at-home mom. She wasn't working for a long time, for up to 2 years. She was taking care of her kids. Then she decided to join our data analytics program and she landed a job also with the NHS on full visa sponsorship. The same process, Ikmat went through the same process, joined data analytics, tailored her CV, did the right packaging, applied to jobs, ensured that for every single stage of her interview, she had the interview preparatory session. And eventually, in January 2024, last year, she landed a job with the NHS as an information analyst. An information analyst is a fancy way of saying a data analyst. And she got this job with the NHS, the Sussex Community NHS Foundation Trust. Okay. So we had a full interview with Ikmat. You might want to watch the interview. And of course, you also want to listen to Ikmat's story and how she was able to make this switch as well. And if you also go to her LinkedIn, you'd see pretty much something similar to God. Okay. Ikmat, information analyst, one of the first things you'd see is you both worked at Tenalytics. All right. So you'd see the type of projects she's worked on, data analyst with Tenalytics before she got this job as an information analyst. So you must position yourself as the right and the best candidates. You must position yourself as Carpenter B with a showroom and evidence that you've done the job before. And because of that, you can do the job for them. Okay. So I'm going to play one of these videos, but I want to walk through, all the different success stories. This is Pavel. Pavel was a teacher in Cameroon before he moved to the US. He struggled to land a job. Pavel joined our data analytics program last year, towards the end of last year. And this year in March 2025, Pavel landed a job as a data analyst in the US. From a teacher to data analyst. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom. She was doing a master's in public health, nothing related to tech, no knowledge of data analytics, but today she's a data analyst. Pavel was a teacher back in Cameroon. Today, he's a healthcare data analyst with an organization in the US. The same process, okay? Learned the data analytics program, completed his program in December 2024. All right. Packaged himself, applied to multiple jobs. And in March 2025, Pavel landed a job as a healthcare data analyst with the Arizona Community Physicians in Tucson, Arizona in the US. And of course, he got this job less than 3 months after completing the program. Again, from non-technology backgrounds, a teacher to data analyst. Ikmat from public health to data analyst. Gad was a mechanical engineer to a data engineer. No knowledge, no background prior to joining the program. Okay. Pavel also, created a video. You'd want to listen to his journey and how he was able to make this transition. And of course, you have Oyefikayo. Oyefikayo was from finance. She had a job in finance and accounting. That was her background. She joined our data science program and she transitioned from finance to business intelligence. Okay. And I'm going to break this down a little bit more. Oyefikayo had no background and no knowledge. She wanted to leave finance because the workload was too heavy on her. What did she do? She joined our data science program, but she didn't only apply to jobs in data science. Like I mentioned earlier, she applied to jobs in business intelligence and she landed a job as a business intelligence analyst in Canada. All right. The same process. She joined the data analytics program in July and she got this job in October. So less than 4 months after joining, she was able to land a job. Now, how is that even possible? And the answer is very simple. And part of the strategies, part of the mentoring you'd get is the job is always more difficult on paper. So organizations would have a multitude of requirements, but 2, 3 months into the program, you would have acquired certain skills that gives you the confidence to apply. So you don't have to wait until you are done, until the end of the program before you start to apply to jobs. You start applying after 2 to 3 months. And then you start to land interviews. We prepare you for those interviews and you're able to land a job. And that was Fikayo's situation. Fikayo got a job 1 month before she wrapped up her program with us. All right. So that's Fikayo's story. I'm going to play Fikayo's video very quickly before we go into specifics around, as a data analyst, as a data scientist, what are the specific tools I need to learn? What does a data analyst do? What does a data scientist do? All right. But prior to that, let's listen to what Fikayo has to say. There is a full interview it's about almost an hour. So I'm not going to play it here today. But I want you to also watch the interview if you can, because Fikayo explained categorically what it takes to transition if you are interested in doing that for somebody like her who is in Canada, who wanted to move to a new role, and she was able to do that, moving from finance to business intelligence. Okay, so let's listen to Fikayo and then we get right back into the rest of our session. So remember, if you want to get the link,
I'm so happy.
if you want to get the link so you can come in here, watch all these videos, have access to my slide, don't forget to fill the attendance form. So let's hear Fikayo out and let's hear how she was able to make this transition.
Happy I got the job. I got the job 1 month to the end of my program. Good afternoon. My name is Oyefikayo Adeshina. I got to know about analytics through one of their Instagram adverts at that point where I just needed a direction. I would say that is still one of the best decisions I've ever made in my career. Ever since I joined them, the classes, resources, instructors, they are great people. They are always there to support you. You have the Watch Me Do It videos where you can go at your learning pace, and you have the Saturday classes. You have assignments, you have team project where you learn, you work with different people on your team. Joining analytics has helped me a lot because my background is finance. I'm new to tech. I've never done coding in my life, but now I can tell you I have a very good grasp of what is going on. They have the live sessions, they have the weekly, they have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday programs where you can join CV review sessions, where you can review your CV. You have your interview review sessions. This kind of support they give to you, you will be surprised. When I booked my interview session, they were really on my case. Like, they just gave me that support, they gave me that confidence I needed for the interview, and I'm so happy I got the job. I got the job 1 month to the end of my program, and even after getting it, getting a reference letter, like all the support you need to succeed, they will hold you by the hand till you are where you need to be.
Hey, so that's Fikayo, absolutely phenomenal lady, moving from finance to business intelligence. And of course, like I said, you also want to watch the full interview because this was absolutely amazing for anybody who gets to watch. You get to listen to Fikayo's journey, her story, essentially, and how she was able
Steven, you're
how
just
she was
interested in
able
my
to break into the space step by step, what she needed to do. All right. So make sure it's about 50 minutes. Make sure you watch it. I'm just going to play maybe just 1 minute.
Hello, guys.
Yes, like it was clear that
Let me try. But before I try, I will do that second level authentication. The WhatsApp number they added there, I started that person. Who are you? She was like, who is this? Who are you?
who are you?
I was like, okay, at least it's making sense. I was like, send me something from your page that shows that you are reading analytics. The person sent me that message, and I was like, okay, let me just give it a try. And I tried. The first class I joined, I was like, yes, I didn't make a mistake. Yes, like it was clear that I am in the right place from the first class, because the instructor, like the first guy that took us, was great. And one thing about analytics is while you're having the lectures, you can ask questions 1 million times. They will respond to you 1 million times. When you say mentors, they are not instructors, they are mentors. They gave me what I needed. I needed somebody to hold me by the hand. And they did that to me. And another thing they do for you in analytics is they give you that boldness, that support. I joined in July, and by end of August, we're telling us to go and apply for jobs.
Okay, so I'm not going to play all the video because of time. All right, so we have a whole lot more to cover, but go watch the interview. You'd listen to Oyefikayo and how she was able to make the transition. There was also an interview with Ikmat as well. Absolutely phenomenal. How she was able to land her visa sponsorship, get a job as an information analyst with the NHS. Okay. In that same interview, you had Pavel. Pavel was also there if you watch it till the end. All right. So now that we've seen this, the big question is, how do I start to learn? Okay. And what ways must I learn? Because a lot of people come to me and, oh, they tell me, Adeza, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But one of the major mistakes you'd make, and I made that mistake very early in my career, is working or learning in 100% self-paced environment. Okay. So I was doing 100% self-paced, but then I would stumble on a problem and it would take me 2 weeks to fix. And it was very frustrating for me. And I know a lot of people that, they gave up simply because they were doing 100% self-paced. They were going nowhere. There was nobody to ask questions, nobody to show them what to do. So when it comes to learning, what you want to do is to ensure that you have a self-paced platform, okay, where you can learn at your convenience, learn anywhere, anytime, at your own pace, at your own convenience. And then you must include the live class. So we have a live instructor-led class. And if you listen to the last minutes, the last video I played, Oyefikayo mentioned something very crucial. If you have 1 million questions, you would get 1 million answers. Nobody would say your question is stupid. Every single question is important. All right. So you're trying to do something, you get it wrong. You have the opportunity to share your screen. This is what I'm doing. Oh, this is where you are getting it wrong. This is what you need to do. All right. If all you are doing is 100% self-paced, you would struggle and struggle for a very long time. So you must have a blended learning approach. And that's what we deploy at Analytics, a blended learning approach. And I'll show you what that means very, very quickly. So live classes and self-paced. Your live class is where you get to interact with a real person, somebody like me, for example. In class, we work together, we solve problems together, and you have the opportunity to ask questions and get real-time feedback. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what the live class looks like. Let's go to one of the classes, for example, the Excel live class. So you have a platform where all you have to do, come to the platform. Even if you miss this class, every single class always comes with its recording. So at the end of the session, the recording would be uploaded. So you can always go back and you have lifetime reference to these materials. Okay. So your classes are case study based, because one of the questions you'd want to ask is, Pavel, the Cameroonian gentleman, got a job as a healthcare data analyst. How did he do it? He was a teacher. How did he get a job in healthcare as a healthcare data analyst? One of the things you'd find in your class materials are case study based materials. So you work on case studies across different industries, different sectors that are based on real world problems. So these are problems that actually exist. These are problems that people have solved. So my experience would be couched into case studies. You get to work on those problems and solve the problems that I solved in the real world. and other industry professionals. So Pavel worked on a case study like this. This is for a hospital, helping them streamline their operations, financial performance, and their patient care. How do we optimize our operations essentially? So you have the introduction to the problem statements, you have the rationale for the project, and of course, the data description, the tool you would use, the tech stack. Here, you're using Excel to solve the problem, and so on. So at the end of the day, you are taking data and you're converting it into a dashboard like this, step by step together with your facilitator in class. All right. So when you look at a case study like this, you solve this case study together with your facilitator. And again, the recording is there for you. So if you click on the class recording, it takes you to exactly what happened in class on that day. So you see what the project is all about and you see where you are solving the problems together. You can ask questions. You can stop your trainer. This is what I'm doing. I'm not getting the same results. What am I doing wrongly? What am I doing right? And so on and so forth. So this is what a live class looks like essentially. And you have lifetime access to your materials. You can always come back here to watch. This is what the live class would give to you. Then you have your self-paced. So self-paced means on a Monday morning, on a Monday evening, on a Friday afternoon, I can study without joining a live session. So everybody has access to their own dashboard. So you register, you have access to the dashboard, you click on that, it takes you to the dashboard. And the dashboard is where you get to join the program you've registered for. So you're in data analytics, for example. If I click on that, it takes me to the data analytics program and I can watch my videos here at any time, anywhere, any day. All right. Take, for example, I want to learn data storytelling as a data analyst. I just simply come here, open up the materials, and I can start watching my videos. Okay, start watching the videos. Every single material on this platform, you have the opportunity to also work on case studies. So you have an exercise, you have a case study you solve on your own, and this gives you the experience that you need to do the job. And you're taught by Ifemena. Ifemena, the co-founder of Tenalytics, an absolutely phenomenal professional. Worked in Ireland, he's worked in Ireland, he's worked in the UK, he's worked in the US, and is also currently based in Canada. So these are the professionals that will teach you. You get to work on this. You want to learn Power BI service, you come to your material, you click on that, and you are able to solve problems. Okay. So you work on all these materials, work on all these projects at your own convenience. So this is the self-paced. And if you're making the mistake of focusing on only self-paced, you would never get the right tailored guidance that you need to land a job. Then you move to the packaging part. And before you start packaging, crafting a job ready profile, always remember that it is competence over credentials. A lot of people make the mistake of focusing on only credentials. Credentials are your certificates. Okay, they are your bachelors, your BScs, your MScs, and so on and so forth. God did a master's. He struggled to even get an interview. Ikmat also did masters in the UK in public health. She couldn't land a job. She joined our data analytics program. I studied in the UK as well, and I know clearly what the educational system focuses on. It doesn't give you and equip you the skills to do the job in the real world. So you want to ensure that employers know the same thing and they know that they don't focus on your credentials. What they focus on is on your competence. And your competence comprises of your skills and your experience. The skills are what you learn in class. Okay, you work on projects, you learn the skills, you know how to do the job, and this would be assessed during the interviews. If you're getting a job as a data scientist, data analyst, data engineers, you can rest assured that you'll get tested. You'll have an assessment. You would have a case study you're likely going to solve and make a presentation. because these are skills that can be assessed. So you need to ensure you have the skills. It's a given. Then you build experience by working on real world projects and also during your internship. All right. So packaging must always be based on competence. You must build a portfolio. Evidence speaks volume. Like the gentleman or lady who sent that in the chat, you must have evidence that you can do the job. So as a data analyst, you have your portfolio as well. I'll show you what a data analyst portfolio looks like. If I click on this, it takes us to Victoria's profile. So you'd see all the projects that Victoria has worked on. Victoria Data Analysis Portfolio, Deep Care Hospital, ER Visit Analysis, one of the projects she worked on in the medical, the healthcare sector. You have a project in aviation, Redux Airline, flight analysis using Excel, Express Tech food delivery using Tableau, Nestle product analytics, Zenith Electronics using SQL, and so on and so forth. If I click on this project, what she completed in the healthcare space, I can see exactly what Victoria was able to build. And this is a dashboard built using what? Tableau. Okay. ER hospital analysis. I can interact with this particular dashboard. I can see all Victoria's dashboards right here. Okay. I can also interact with this particular dashboard. This is another dashboard from Victoria. And if I click here, I can deselect Q1. I can click on everything and deselect everything, and it responds because it is interactive. So when you go to that carpenter's showroom and you see the couch and you feel the couch, you touch the couch, that is exactly what I'm doing here. I've gotten into Victoria's showroom. I can click on Q1 to see the number of patients that came in Q1, the average age, the average wait time, the average satisfaction score, and so on and so forth. Okay. And this is what gives employers, prospective employers, the confidence that you can do the job, and they get to see all your other projects. So if I want somebody who knows how to use Tableau, and I see what Victoria has done here, I'll be confident that this is the right person for the job. Okay. Same with a data scientist portfolio. So this is Victor. If I click on Victor's portfolio, it takes me to his portfolio and I can see who Victor is. I can see the tools, Victor's core competencies, and I can go to the different projects that Victor has completed. One of them is the loan default prediction. Remember, your portfolio is what shows that you can do the job because you've done it before, all right? So if I click on this project, it shows me a project where Victor helped a company solve the problem of predicting customers that are likely going to default on their loans by using a machine learning model as a data scientist. So I don't know my customers that will default, but if I look at certain attributes, the age, the gender, the income level, where they reside, their location, and so on, I can build a model that can predict the customers that are likely going to default based on the data I have generated of customers that have defaulted in the past. And I don't just need to read what Victor did. I can read about it, but more importantly, I can see how he built this project and solved this problem by clicking on the notebook, and it takes me to Victor's, that particular loan default problem. The libraries that he used, I can see how he cleaned his data, how he transformed the data, how he carried out his exploratory data analysis. And this particular project called Loan Default was done in class. So you don't have to go and look for projects. You solve these projects in class. All right. So if I go to Victor's class, for example, in the machine learning class, in Victor's class, you'd see the case study solved on that day was for a company called Loanalytics Incorporated. And the essence was to build a loan default prediction model. So this was what they did in class on that day. You read the problem statements, you see what the data looks like, you see how the workflow of this project would look like, And eventually, you get to solve it in class. So in class on that particular day, they solve this problem together with the trainer, the facilitator. You can ask questions and so on. So you see where they're solving the problem. Let me just take this back a bit. So you'd see this is the case study. All right. How to get the data into your Python notebook, your Jupyter notebook, and you start solving the problem step by step. Once you are done, you upload this project into your portfolio. And this is how you showcase that you have experience solving problems for real organizations because you've done it before. All right. So that's what you must do when packaging yourself. And of course, we've talked about the CV, the LinkedIn, navigating the job markets, the interview prep, the job references, on the job support, the weekly mentorship, and so on and so forth. So if you go to your typical class, any of the classes, one of the first things you'd see at the top is submit your CV. Okay. You upload your CV for us to revamp your CV for you. So you upload your CV here, we revamp the CV, and we return it back to you for you to start using it to apply to jobs. But you don't use one CV to apply. We also show you how to tailor that CV. So if you click on this link, you'll see a video from me showing you how to tailor your CV to job applications. All right. So that's a video where I'm showing you how to tailor your CV, what you need to consider. We get a real job vacancy and we use that to tailor the CV to the job. Okay. Then you also have where we send you jobs because we don't want you going, look for jobs that everybody else would apply to. So you'd see where you have your job offers. All right. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you have the job offers. And if you click on the job offers, you'd see every single week we send you jobs to apply to. Jobs that come with visa sponsorship. For those in the UK, you'd see that. And what we do is we vet these jobs and we are sure that these are the type of jobs that you can get. One of our participants got this job as a data analyst with Sun Life. Sun Life was also hiring in Canada for a HR digital solutions analyst, and somebody also got a job as a HR digital solutions analyst with this same company based on the job vacancy we had posted right here. So every single week, you'd see the jobs you can apply to. If you're in Nigeria, you're in Canada, you're in the US, you have the opportunity to apply to these jobs. All right. You have your mentorship sessions where you have your interview simulation, how to search for jobs, a key strategy to applying and getting visa sponsored jobs, a day in the life of a data analyst. We bring somebody like Ikmat who has gotten a job. They come back to share experience. This is what a data analyst would do, and so on and so forth. You have your LinkedIn optimization. You have your drop-in sessions, which is your makeup sessions. For those who miss classes, you have the opportunity to join a drop-in session where you have a one-on-one with your facilitator to help you solve problems. All right. And if you have an interview, all you have to do, go to your dashboard. When you get to the dashboard, you'd see where you have interview preparation. All you have to do, click on schedule appointments, select the program you've joined. If it's data analytics, if it's data science, select it. Enter the job vacancy, the details about the job. What's the stage of the interview? First or second level? First level. The job description, copy and paste, interview dates. When do you want to be prepared for this interview? Select your preferred dates. Okay. Upload the CV you've used to apply, and somebody will join a call with you to prepare you for that interview. And that's what ensures that you get the job eventually. And this is not a get a job in 2 months program, it's a 6 months learning journey. So you are not rushed into learning certain tools and technologies. You have 6 months to fully learn the skills, embody, hone the skills you need to know to land that job. And then you have your internship for 2 months with our sister company at Amdari. All right. So you'd have the unique opportunity of listing Tenalytics, listing Amdari on your CV and on your LinkedIn. And you also get a reference from these companies. So Amdari is registered in the UK, operates out of London in the UK, also registered in Alberta, Canada. Same with Tenalytics, registered in Alberta, Canada. So when you're asked about UK work experience, Canadian work experience, you can showcase that I have experience doing this and so on. And your portfolio would also speak a whole lot of volumes with respect to that. So if you remember when you go to Guard's profile, his LinkedIn profile, you'd see Tenalytics, ICMAT, Tenalytics, Oyefikayo, Tenalytics, all these professionals, you'd see Tenalytics as part of their work experience. Again, you don't have to join classes every day. It's a blended approach. Saturdays are for your live classes, and it doesn't matter where you are. If you're in the UK, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UK time. If you are in the US, you have a class 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain time. Okay. So for those in the UK, for example, you have the flexibility of joining the class for those in the US. If you're not available in the morning from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., you can join the class in the US. For those in the US or Canada, North America, the North American region, which would be roughly 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the evening, your time. So you can look at your schedule. I'm not available in the morning, but I'll be available in the evening, and you can schedule your class that way. Every other day, you have your self-paced materials. You log onto the LMS, you watch your videos, practice and practice and practice. Okay. Now, when it comes to the application part, a lot of people apply like machines, but they don't apply with precision. They take one CV and apply it to 1,000 jobs. And applying to that would give you what? Zero results. Okay. So you keep on getting, unfortunately, we are not going to invite you for an interview, or you did not make the cut and so on. But you have to apply with precision, which means you know where to apply, you know how to apply, how to tailor your CV. So you tailor your CV to every single job application. You never reuse a CV when applying to jobs. You know the number of jobs to apply to. And like I showed you earlier, we send you jobs. We vet these jobs, we send them to you. The ones that come with sponsorship, remote jobs. And these are not jobs from your regular job boards. These are paid job boards. So you get exclusive access to different jobs that are not available to your counterparts. So you'll be getting those interviews, and people are asking, how are you getting interviews? And so on. All right. We spoke about the mentorship session already. And all these form the ingredients that ensures that you land the job. You learn, you package, and you apply. And that's what gets you the job. There are so many more success stories. I'm not going to bore you with too many success stories, but you get my slides. You can also read, watch videos from these professionals. Oluwadamilare, from no experience to a sustainability data analyst with a company called BAM in the UK. Again, one thing about Oluwadamilare's profile, I want to show you that very quickly. Oluwadamilare. So that's him right there. So Oluwadamilare, one of the things you'd also see before he got this job sometime last year in April, data analyst with Tenalytics. Okay. Positioning yourself for the job. All right. And these are the things the company would reach out to us. We provide a reference, and these are the things that land you a job. Toyin was a pharmacist. She joined our data analytics program, got a job as a benefit analyst. Idris got a job with Jaguar Land Rover as a data engineer after completing our data engineering program. He's currently on his second job as a senior analytics engineer in London with QuantSpark in the UK. You have Bisola, who is a machine learning engineer after completing our data science program. Of course, you've seen Oyefikayo already. You have Tosin, Oluwatosin, who got a job as a fraud analyst after completing our data analytics program in the UK. Benga got a job in Poland as a business data analyst. Olugbemi got a job as a business data analyst with a law depot, got another job as a solutions analyst with Wawanesa Insurance in Canada, and so many other professionals. You know, you have Ebube. Ebube was a care worker as well, and she got a job as a data scientist after completing our data science program. And you can see she was so excited, she sent her badge to us. I just landed my new role as a data scientist, my first proper job after the 10 analytics training. All right. And so many professionals. Whistling, after data analytics, she landed a job with Shell in the UK, and so on and so forth. Now, to start to wrap up our session, the question is, if I want to get a job like GAD as a data engineer, or I want to get a job as a data scientist like Olua Oyefikayo, who did data science and got a job as a business intelligence analyst, what skills must I learn? And first of all, what do they do on the job? So I'm going to explain very quickly the skills you must have for you to land a job, because people learn things wrongly. You want to do data science, but you're learning the wrong thing. So how do you start by learning the correct skills, the right skills to ensure that you compete for the best jobs? Okay. But in the first instance, what does a data engineer do in a company? What's their role? I want us to think about our bank accounts. Everybody has a bank account. And I like to use the banks because it's a very good example. Everybody uses or has a bank account somehow. So you have your credit, debit cards, and the rest. So let's assume we work with Scotiabank or we work with um, Lloyd's Bank in the UK or any of the banks. Okay. Now, the banks would have multiple different sources where transactions can happen. Okay. The owner, the CEO of the bank wants to know, where do we have the highest volume of transaction? Okay. Where do we have the highest? Where is the highest volume of transactions? That's the question we want to answer. The CEO wants to know. But for us to provide the answer to the CEO, we need to ensure that we are able to gather the data from all the different sources where data is generated. Okay. You'd have the POS, the point of sales. You'd have the ATMs. When you go to the ATM to withdraw, what happens? A transaction happens, right? And that transaction is stored. You have your mobile applications. So on your mobile app, you have your phone, you have your bank app on your mobile. So there's the mobile app. I can take out my app, I can carry out a transaction, send money, make payments online, and so on. You also have the web application, the web app. So I can log into the web app and execute a transaction. Now, how do I get the data from all these different sources? That's where the data engineer comes in. When a transaction happens in the POS, it is stored in a location called the POS database. So there's a database where this data is stored. The ATM as well, the transaction is stored in a database. The mobile app is stored in a database. The web app the transactions are stored in a database, but we don't have access to this database. The data engineer will then create pipelines to move all these data from the databases into a central location. So these are the pipelines. The data engineer would create these pipelines, moving the data from where the data is generated and stored to a central location called the data warehouse. These pipelines are called ETL pipelines. And what is ETL? Extract, transform, and load. Extract, transform, and load. Okay, and what does extract, transform, load means? The data was generated from POS. We're going to extract the data from the POS database. We'd extract from the ATM, extract from the mobile app, extract from the web app. Why do we have to transform? Transform literally means cleaning the data, because the data from the POS would not likely be the same structure as the data from the ATM. So we are meant to modify the data, to transform, to clean the data, to make sure that it is in the right shape and form before we load the data. So the load in ETL is the final stage where the data is loaded into the data warehouse. So the data engineers are responsible for extracting data, transforming the data, and loading the data into a central location where that data is easily accessible. So it's only when the data is available that the data analysts and the data scientists can take that data, analyze the data to answer this question: where is the highest volume of transactions? So the data engineers are very important in any organization simply because without them, the data would not even be available for analysis. And that's why organizations hire the data engineers. They can work with big data, extract the data, make sure it's in the right shape, right form, and loaded into a central location for easy access. All right. So that's the role of the data engineer. Now, when the data is available in the data warehouse, so let's say this is the data warehouse. Let's call it the DW. We now have questions we want to answer. The data is available now. We want to answer questions. And one of the questions we'd love to answer is, every business loves to answer questions because that's the only way you can provide solutions to your customers. So the business wants to know, how many customers did we lose from January till date? So people close their bank accounts. In fact, I closed my bank account recently, last week, with one of the banks here in Canada. Okay. So we want to know, how many customers did we lose from January till date? All right. That's the question we want to answer. How many customers did we lose? When you're answering questions like this, how many customers did we lose? Remember, the data is available in the data warehouse because the data engineer has made the data available, extracting data from different sources into the data warehouse. The data analyst would go into this data warehouse, extract the data, analyze the data to come up with something that looks like this: from January to February, March, April. Let's stop at April because May has not ended. Okay. So when you're answering the question, how many customers did we lose? You want to know what happened. You're answering the question of what? What happened? What happened between January till April? Every data analyst, this is the first question you must always ask. The first problem you solve is what? The question of what happened. How many customers did we get? How many of them are male and female? How many of them came from the UK, from the US, from Canada? What's the distribution? How much revenue did we generate? How much profits did we make? What happened? That's the question a data analyst would always answer. So the data analyst would take the data from the data warehouse and do something like this. In January, we lost 70 customers. In February, we lost 10 customers. March, we lost 80 customers. April, we lost 90 customers. This is what happened. And when you're answering the question of what happened in anything data, you're solving something we call what? Descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics is simply answering the question, what happened? So what happened from January, between January to April? We lost 70 customers in January, we lost 10 in February, we lost 80 in March, and we lost 90 in April. So this is what happened. And anybody who sees this would get worried. Why did we lose 80 in March? We lost 90 in April. That's the second question the data analyst must answer. So when you see what happened, you can't stop there. You must also know, why did it happen? Why did we lose 80 in March, 70 in January, And why did we lose only 10 in February? Did we do something right that made us lose only 10? Why did we lose 80 in April, in March, and 90 in April? So you go to the second question as a data analyst to answer the question, why did it happen? So the first question is what happened? The second is what? Why did it happen? And when you're answering the question, why did it happen? You are moving into the area of what? Diagnostic analytics. Diagnostic means you are moving deeper into the data to look for trends and patterns. Why did what happened actually happen? So you want to dive deeper to find out. When I called last week to close my account, they asked me questions. Oh, why are you closing your account? Do you know you have this offer? You have this. They tried to stop me from closing, but I went ahead to close. So the data analysts in that bank, if they want to know why are customers leaving, they will take the data of that person who spoke to me, who would have recorded the reason why I left, analyze to find out, and probably would find out reasons like, oh, the bank charges were too high, or we increased bank charges in the month of March and in the month of April. Or there were a lot of fraudulent transactions in the month of March and in the month of April. So customers lost confidence in our bank. And that's why we had the increase of 80 and 90. These are the two questions the data analyst must answer. What happened? Why did it happen? We lost these customers from January to April. Why did we lose them? Because you want to know. If you know why you lost them, you can make adjustments to ensure that it doesn't happen again. All right. If you also perform well, like in the month where you lost only 10, why did we lose only 10 when we could have lost more? You want to know the things you did right. So you're looking for trends, patterns to help answer the question, what happened and why did it happen? So the data analyst would focus on question 1 and question 2. This is for the data analyst. Descriptive and diagnostic. What happened and why did it happen? Now, the year has not ended. We are in the month of May, we're going to get to December, and we move to 2026 and so on and so forth. So we want to know, based on what has happened in the past, what will happen in the future. All right? And that's where the data scientist comes in. The data scientist answers question number 3. And question number 3 is what? What will happen? So they see into the future. There are those people who take their crystal ball and they can see the future and tell you that this is what would happen in November, this is what would happen in December. The only difference is they don't use the crystal ball to do that. They use Python. All right. So the data scientists can look into the month of May, June, even July, up until December, and tell you that based on what happened in the previous month and why they happened, we are likely going to have 80 customers. We'll lose 80 customers in May. We're going to lose about 75 in June, and we'd lose about 70 in July. And to predict the future of what will happen, they need to understand skills in statistical modeling, machine learning, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what will happen is predicting into the future. And this is the aspect of analytics called what? Predictive analytics. So for the data scientists, they would answer question 1, question 2, and question 3. But the data analyst would focus on question 1 and question 2. What happened and why did it happen? The data scientist takes it a step further to predict and forecast, look into the future of what will happen. All right. So you need to clearly understand the 3 different roles. The data engineers provide the data, they make sure data is available so the data analyst and the data scientist can do their work. The data analyst would answer the question of what happened. How many new customers did we get? How many customers did we lose? How many, what's the distribution of our customers? What's their income level? What happened? Why did it happen? Why did we lose X number of customers within this period? That's the role of the data analyst. The data scientist will take it a step further to find out what will happen in the future, predictive analytics. Okay, so these are the three major roles we've discussed so far today. And for you to get to do the job of a data engineer with a salary on the average of about £65,000 in the UK, in Canada, six figures, 102,000 Canadian dollars, in the US, over 134,000 US dollars. You must understand what data engineering is all about. You move into SQL, structured query language. So you see that data warehouse you're going to build. You're going to build it using SQL. That's the language for data warehousing. Then you use Python for your ETL pipelines. You remember those pipelines? These pipelines, you build them using Python. Okay, so you build your pipelines using Python. You learn Linux for your bash scripting. You learn how to get data from different sources, from databases, scrape data from the web, APIs, and so on. You learn how to use Apache Spark and Airflow for your data pipeline automation. All right. So when you create those pipelines to get data from the data source and get data into the data warehouse, when you're not there, what happens? Will the data still get extracted, transformed, and loaded? The answer is yes, because you automate that process using Spark and Airflow. Then you'd also get to learn cloud engineering using GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and also Microsoft Azure. If you remember, in God's profile, he put Azure data engineer because that was his focus. That was the type of job he wanted to get. If you remember, yeah, there are different cloud platforms. With us, you're going to learn GCP, Google Cloud Platform. You'd also get to learn Azure. But if you go to God's profile, I'm sure some of you might have missed it, but I'll just take you there once again. So you'd see where he used Azure Data Engineer. Okay. So Azure is a Microsoft-based platform, cloud platform. All right. So you learn Azure, you learn version control with GitHub, and then you learn AI for data engineering using ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. Then as a data scientist, you will earn about roughly on the average £55,000 per annum in the UK, $94,000 Canadian dollars, and six figures in the US, 121,000 US dollars. But what do you start with? Because this is where a lot of people falter and they make mistakes. They start learning data science from number 5. They think data science is all about Python, but that's a mistake. That's building a house rather than building the foundation, having the background. You are starting from building the roof. All right. So you start from statistics. You move into predictive analytics using Excel. You learn Tableau for data analytics, SQL, structured query language, which is a language to interact with databases. So when the data engineer builds the data warehouse using SQL, you would interact and extract your data from that data warehouse also using SQL. So data roles have one common denominator, and that's SQL. Okay. You're also going to learn Python for your exploratory data analysis, machine learning, how to build your machine learning models to predict the future, computer vision, version control with GitHub, ChatGPT, and GitHub Copilot for your AI in data science. And then you learn Microsoft's Fabric. All right. Then you have the data analyst role. As a data analyst, you are earning roughly around £45,000 per annum. In the UK, 71,000 Canadian dollars and 86,000 US dollars per annum. Problem solving, you start with problem solving. How do you break problems into smaller parts, multiple parts, so you can address those problems one after the other? You learn Excel, SQL, structured query language, so that you can interact and extract data from the data warehouse created by that data engineer. You learn how to use Power BI, Tableau for your data visualization, business intelligence. You learn data storytelling, ChatGPT for your AI for data analytics, and Microsoft Fabric as well. So for a lot of people, they ask the question, what particular pathway should I choose? And it is 100%, it's 100% your decision and based on your own preference. What you need to know is any of these three career paths have been designed, all the three career paths have been designed with the beginner in mind. You don't need to have any experience. Gad had zero experience in data engineering. Fikayo, who was in finance, had zero experience in data science. Pavel, who was a teacher in Cameroon, and Ikmat, who was also studying public health, was a stay-at-home mom, had zero experience in data analytics, but they learned, worked on projects, honed their skills, built the skills, and landed jobs in these areas. So you can learn the skills, apply to jobs, and land a job as a beginner with zero experience. And that's how the curriculum has been designed. So, like I mentioned, the program is for 6 months in class, 2 months internship, and 8 month journey, 8 month learning journey. And again, you don't always apply to jobs. You don't have to wait until the end of the program to apply. All the people I showed you, none of them waited until the end before they started to apply to jobs. All right. Ikmat got a job before she completed the program. Oyefikayo got a job a month before she completed the program as well. Okay. So how do you start the journey? How do you get started if you want to start today? We have a cohort starting on the 7th of June. In about 1 week, the next cohort would start. We've had cohorts from January all the way till June. Now we're going to have cohorts all the way till December. However, the discount we have available would be closed next week. Will be closed this week, rather, the end of this month. All right. So we have an amazing discount for everybody interested in getting started. So if you want to join our data analytics program, you want to join the data engineering program, you want to join the data science program, rather than paying $900 to get started, all you have to do, you have a 20% discount where you get to pay only $750. And you can also make your payments in multiple installments. $150 for 5 months. So what it takes for you to start is to make the first installment of $150. You get started on the 7th of June and you make the balance payments in subsequent months. I'm going to show you how to get started and we're going to take questions before we call it a day. All right. And for those of you who would want to reach out to us after this call, you can always do that from the website under the contact us button, or you can reach out to any of my colleagues, enquiries at tenanalytics.io, admissions at Tenanalytics. And I'm also going to show you how you can interact with us on LinkedIn and other platforms, or you can reach out to any of my colleagues on these numbers. So Adeza, I want to start today. I'm ready to secure the discount because the discount closes on the 31st of May. On the 31st, the discount closes and registration also closes as well. And anybody who wants to join after that would have to make the full payment of $900 to get started. So how do I get started if I want to join any of these programs? All I have to do is click on this link. It takes me into the enrollment center. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like. So when you click on that link, it takes you to the enrollment center. And this is where you can select the program you'd like to join. For those of you who would like to see the nitty-gritty of the curriculum, you can always get that from the brochure as well. So click on here, it takes you to the brochures. You have access to that. All right. So for those who would like to start on the 7th of June, all you have to do, look for the program you're interested in. I want to join data analytics. You come in here, click on that, and it takes you into the data analytics program. So there are just 7 slots left for data analytics. We had 20 slots at the beginning of the week available for discounts, but we have just 7 slots left. For the data engineering, let's see, number of slots left for data engineering. We have 5 slots left for data engineering, and for data science, the full stack data science program, we have 7 slots left for the full stack data science program. Okay. So I want to join the full stack data science, or I want to join the data analytics program. What do I do? All I need to do is I select the different payment plans, the one that is most suitable to my current situation at the moment. Okay. You can make 5 monthly payments, 4 monthly payments, 3 monthly payments, 2 monthly payments, and you can make a one-time payment. But all you need to get started, you can make, structure your payments in 5 monthly installments. And you can also select your currency right here. If you want to pay in US dollars, you select this. You can also make payments in US dollars. All right. And if you're paying in US dollars, rather than paying $900, you already have your 20% discount of $750. You have a further $50 discount if you're making a one-time payment or a 2 monthly payment. So instead of paying $750, you get to pay 700 or 350 twice if you go for the 2 months. But if you're making payments in 5 installments, you make payments of $150 for 5 months. Okay. If you want to make payments in Canadian dollars, all you have to do is come in here, type in CAD, Canadian dollars, click on that. You can also make payments in Canadian dollars or any currency whatsoever. Euros, Ghanaian CD, Naira, any currency you want to make payments in, you can always do that. Select Naira, you'd see the payment option as well. You can select South African Rand, Ghanaian CD. You also get to make payments as well. Okay. So once you've selected your preferred currency, all you have to do is select your payment plan. Okay. So I want to make payments, 5 monthly payments. I select that, click on secure your seats, and you'd see your payment structure. The first payment today, the next one, 29th, next 29th of July, 29th of August, 29th of September. That's when I'll make my final payment. Click on proceed, enter your full name, enter your email, and then you click on enter your phone number as well. Click on proceed, confirm your email, looks good. Pay with credit or debit card. So you enter your card details right here, and then you click on confirm payment. The moment you confirm payment, you'd receive an automated email confirmation to the email you've provided. All right. And you'd also get automatically redirected to a form for you to fill. Okay. So for those of you who probably have commitments in June, you can't start on the 7th of June, but you want to take advantage of the discount. You can also get started on the 5th of July by securing your discount today. But once the registration is gone, the discount is also gone. If you're making payment for the July cohort in the month of June, you'll be making the full amount of 900 US dollars. Okay. So the form you get automatically redirected to looks like this. And I'm just going to show you that very quickly, and then we take questions before we call it a day. All right. So the form looks like this. So you fill all the details. And the reason why I'm showing you this is so that for those of you who you're not sure, well, do I do data analytics? Or Ades, I don't want to learn Python at this stage of my career. Okay. I want to just do data analytics, learn Excel, Power BI, SQL, Tableau, Microsoft Fabric, data storytelling, problem solving, and land a job like Ikmat. Ikmat got a job with sponsorship in the UK. I want to do the same. Pavel got a job in the US as a healthcare data analyst. I also want to do the same. You're not entirely sure. All right. What you want to do is select, I need to speak to a professional. Okay. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you fill all the details when you made payments or upload your proof of payments, and then you get to see the program you're interested in. Okay. So I'm still conflicted. I don't know if I should do data science or I should do data engineering. If you're not sure, all you have to do is what? Select, I need to speak to a professional. We'll organize a clarity session for you and address all those questions to help you select your preferred career path. We don't choose for you, but would guide you to selecting the right career path. And for those of you that are sure of what you want to do, I want to get into data engineering or full stack data science. I select that and I click on next. All right. You want to secure the discount. Do you want the morning session, 11 a.m. British summertime, or do you want the evening session, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, depending? I want the morning because I want to join the morning sessions, or I want to join the evening sessions. You can select any of that here. Click on next. Do you want to start on the 7th of June or 5th of July? So the beauty about this is you stand the chance of getting the discount. Even if you want to start in July, you can defer to start in July. But for those who will be paying after registration closes for the July cohort, would have to pay the full amount. So that's the benefit you stand to gain by taking advantage of the discount before registration closes on the 31st of May. So if I click on 5th of July, you can do that. We organize that for you, make the necessary arrangements. You start your cohorts on the 5th of July. Select your country of residence, submit the form, and you are ready to get your journey started. Okay, I'm going to take questions before we call it a day. So if you have questions, please feel free, type it into the chat, and I'll be very happy to answer your questions. Adetutu is saying, I'm coming from the Nanel community and I understand, yeah, this is part of the discount for the Nanel. We extended the discount to the Nanel's community as well. So if you watch any of the videos, you heard me speak at Day 22, you'd see me present something similar as well. Okay. So it's exactly the same amount as the Nanel's community. Aluko is asking, I truly appreciate this session. Thank you. Thank you. Although I'd like to ask if there's a specific program for students trying to break into, or if there's a discounted price. As a student, there's no special discount for students, unfortunately, at Luco. So what we've seen happen so many times, and I'm going to show you this gentleman. I think I still have him on my slide. Hopefully, I still have him on my slide. If not, I'll just tell you about the story. So there are so many more testimonials. I can't share every single one of them because of time. But when you get my slides, you would have access to them. So Aluko, this gentleman, his name is Uthman. Uthman landed a job as a business intelligence officer with the NHS. He was a student when he joined us, and his elder brother registered him. His elder brother joined a session like this and saw that, wow, my brother can actually benefit from this. And his elder brother registered. And today, Uthman still works with the NHS. Let me see if I can find him on LinkedIn and show you Uthman. Yes, Uthman Yusuf. That's him right there. So that's Uthman. One of the things you'd see. So he studied at Middlesex University in the UK. You'd see where it says you both worked at Analytics. And if you go to his profile, he currently works, he got that first job as a business intelligence analyst. Then he moved from that role to another role, a higher paying role. All right. After about almost 2 years, I still provided a reference for Uthman. I prepared him for his interview and he was able to land this job. So you'd see where he has Analytics, data analyst with Analytics as part of his work experience. All right. So if there's somebody who can sponsor you to be a part of the program, those are the type of, options I'd advise that you also consider. Okay. So I'm still taking questions. If you want to unmute yourself to speak, you can also do that as well. Let me see if we have more questions. Mr. K saying, hello and thanks for everything. I'm new to IT, very confused as to what to do. If you watch this video, if you've watched the video, you'd see clearly, you'd understand clearly what to do. Perhaps you joined a bit late, or what you can do, Mr. K, book a clarity session. Okay, join the clarity session, ask all the questions that you have, and somebody would provide you with all the guidance. I saw 619. Absolutely. So the amount in dollars is different. In dollars, it's 750. In pounds, the equivalent is about 615 or thereabout. Okay. So I'm just going to show you that very quickly at day 22. So let's go back. So in dollars, US dollars, you have, excuse me. If I'm making payments in 5 installments, okay, I'll pay $150 for 5 months, and that's $750, correct? Now, if I'm making payments in pounds, I'll make my payments £123 for 5 months, and that's £615. So this is the discounted fee. The original fee is about 800 and something pounds or thereabouts. I can't remember the number offhand, but the 20% discount, just like you have from $900 to 750, the discounted fee. All you need to do is just change the currency, and the system does the calculation for you automatically. All right. So you're paying just £123 for 5 months. That's the same discount offered to anybody coming from Nanel's community. All right. I hope that clarifies that. Let me see. We have more questions. Can a high school graduate enroll? The answer is yes and no. Usually we have those in the university, at least at that level, because you are preparing to hit the job market. Okay. So if you're in high school and you learn today, you're likely not going to implement or apply these skills. And by the time you're done with high school, you move into the university, you are done with university, you'd have forgotten all those tools, technologies, the skills you've learned. All right. So Uthman was, I think, his final year in the university when he joined us. So at the time he was wrapping up, he was also completing his program. He applied, he got an interview with the NHS. I prepared him. He had an Excel presentation. I looked at it, he completed it, I guided him on what to do. We worked on his presentation together, and eventually he landed that job. Okay. So I'd advise that at least you want to be in the university before you take the program, so that you don't have a long period in between where you don't get to utilize those skills. Okay. Daniel is saying, hi, thanks for the guidance, but you didn't talk about HR analytics. Yes, today's session was just 3 career paths: data analytics, data science, data engineering. Okay. Let me see, we have more questions. Bertha is asking, I'm currently living in Namibia. Where will I attend my internship? Your internship is virtual. It's a virtual internship where you get to work with different teams in a cross-functional team. So you're in Namibia, you'd work with other professionals around the same time zone, because you'd have meetings, you'd have your line manager who would assign tasks and responsibilities to you. So it's simulating the real world experience. You'd have that task, you'd go back, solve the problems collectively, and then you'd have a presentation. We guide you on the things you've done wrong and how you can make things, you could have solved that problem better. If you are stuck, you have a challenge, there is a data coach that help you address the problem as well. Okay. So how do you get to interact with us beyond this session? This is me, where we attended the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity program. So we got into this program last year, when we launched our office in Alberta. And this was a way for us to offer more services to our North American audience. Okay. So that's me. That's the co-founder, Ifemena. And we worked with, amazing founders and co-founders of different other companies. And you can read about the article of what was posted right here. It's the Alberta government's velocity program. That's a Femena. Tenalytics helps Africans, the Black community, to break into the global tech careers, and so on and so forth. Okay. Of course, we also have our accreditation from the American Council of Training and Development, and you also have the link as well. Make sure you fill the attendance so that you get the slides and all the other materials. Now, if you want to watch amazing testimonials, or you've missed any of the sessions in the past, or for those of you asking about HR analytics, cybersecurity, our materials can also be found on YouTube. So you can follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube as well. Okay, so just type 10 Analytics when you get to YouTube. Go to 10 Analytics, click on the logo, subscribe, and then you'd see amazing content. Okay, this was from 1 year ago. All right. So you'd see content from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, all the sessions we've held. You can get to watch them here. Then you can also watch our alumni success stories. So you'd see tons and tons of them. So if I click on this, for example, you'd see numerous success stories you can watch, you can listen to, you can watch this session on how I got a job, my post analytics career success story. This happened 6 days ago. How I used the SEAT approach to land a job after training with analytics. This was last week. How I quit my banking job and launched a tech career with analytics. Zainab is in Nigeria, currently works for a company called Shortree as well. This was an interview with an amazing lady. She completed our business analysis program. She's in the UK as well. She got a job. She moved from a care worker to becoming a business analyst. All right. You have Amaka, who got a job as a HR analyst, HR data analyst with Sask Energy here in Canada, in Saskatchewan, Canada. This is Pavel, who got a job. This is Hope, and so many professionals. You have all of that right here. So follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, follow us across all platforms. So you're one of the first people to see what we get to do, the amazing work we are doing. We have a data challenge currently ongoing, and the winners will be getting a cash prize. So you get to see that on our page as well. And these are the things we provide. Okay. So I'll see if we have more questions. But Bertha, I hope I answered your question on the internship. Genevieve is asking, thank you for the session. I have heard of people studying data analytics but landing a job as a business analyst. How possible is that? It's very tricky. Okay. And I would explain to you. Okay. Now, as a business analyst, your role is not, your primary responsibility is not to work with data. Okay. As a business analyst, your primary job, so let's say BA, your primary role is to do what? Optimize processes. Optimize processes. Make organizations more efficient by optimizing their processes. Okay. Now, what that would mean is, so let's assume you work for a company, you work for a bank that still utilizes manual forms, paper forms. People want to open bank accounts, they have to fill a paper form, and it takes time. It makes the account opening process, too long. Maybe it takes about 24 hours to open an account. As a business analyst, you go into that company to look at the process. You analyze the process, you map out the process, identify the current process by mapping out the process. So you do something called process mapping to identify the as is process. How is the process today? Where are the gaps? Where are the inefficiencies? How do I remove those gaps? How do I take out those inefficiencies and ensure that we can take that manual form, automate the process by implementing a digital form where you go into your mobile app or you go to the website, you fill a form, and automatically your account is opened. Your KYC is also done virtually. All you have to do is a photo, you take a video of yourself or something, you upload your ID cards and all of that. So rather than filling manual forms with photocopies of documents, you've done what? Change that process from 24 hours to just 5 minutes. So you optimize processes. As a business analyst, your role also involves the very first set of skills you would have to learn, apart from your core business analysis roles, responsibilities like process mapping, stakeholder analysis, stakeholder engagement, elicitation, requirements gathering. Apart from all those, you'd also get to learn Excel. You'd get to learn Power BI, and you'd get to learn SQL, because the modern business analyst must know how to analyze data. But remember, that's not your primary responsibility. Now, why a data analyst would struggle to land a job as a business analyst is simply because as a data analyst, you don't focus on the process optimization part that a business analyst would focus on. You're not going to learn how to use tools. like draw.io to map out processes. To map out processes. You're not going to learn this. You're not going to learn elicitation as a core skill. You're not going to learn how to use tools like Jira and Trello to track project deliverables. Because as a business analyst, you will work on projects. You would have to track your project deliverables using tools like Jira, using tools like Trello, using tools like Confluence. Okay, so you'd have to learn these skills as a data analyst. So as a data analyst, you'd struggle a whole lot to land a job as a business analyst. But is it possible to land a job? Yes, it is. But if your aim is to become a business analyst and you are doing that from learning data analytics, you have a very long way to go. That's not the best pathway because you would struggle to land a job except you have these particular set of skills. Now, that's on the one hand. On the other hand, for some companies, they would list the job role as a business analyst role, but the role is actually not business analyst. Okay, the role would have a whole lot of data analytics related responsibilities. So you'd see your normal Excel, you'd see your Power BI, and you'd see your SQL. Okay, and you'll not see much of elicitation, requirements gathering, using tools like Jira and Trello and so on. But these are very few. It doesn't happen very often. Okay, it's very, very rare for you to find that. So if you want to get a job as a business analyst, the focus is to ensure that you get into business analysis. If you want to get a job as a data analyst, you also want to ensure you focus on data analytics. And that's also simply because when you learn a tool like SQL as a business analyst is different from how you would learn SQL as a data analyst. Okay, SQL is broken into three major parts: broken into DDL, broken into DML, and DQL. Okay, data definition language, that's DDL, data manipulation language, DML, and data query language, DQL. The data analysts would learn all three. You'd learn DDL, DML, and DQL. But the business analyst would only learn DQL, the data query language, because their role has nothing to do with data definition and data manipulation. But they would need to know how to get data from that database using DQL. All right. So even though both roles would learn SQL, the aspects of SQL they would learn would be different. So if you learn business analysis to get a job as a data analyst, you'd have limitation in your competence level to do that job. All right. And if you want to get a job as a business analyst, you don't want to do that from the route of a data analyst because you would also struggle in certain areas that are business analysis specific. And I hope I answered that question. All right. So, how can I join the July cohorts and benefit? You can't benefit from the July cohorts if you're not registering before the end of the June registration. And this ends on the 31st of May. Okay, so in about 2-3 days' time, the registration ends and the discount also ends. So take advantage of the discounts, and then you can also defer your program to start in July. All right, don't forget, follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube, interact with us. Would also want to get to interact with you. So for those of you who are ready to start, lock in your discounts, join the clarity session. If you have questions, select I need to speak to a professional. All right, if you've had a great time, you've gotten value for your time today, type in a yes into the chat. If you had a great time today, I know we are about 30 minutes. We spent extra 30 minutes, but if you had a great time today, type in yes into the chat. At least if anybody asks you, what's the difference between the data engineer, the data scientist, and the data analyst? You can answer them. The data engineer provides the data. They make sure that wherever the data is generated, they extract, they load that data in a central location. All right. The data analyst answers two questions using that data: what happened and why did it happen? Descriptive and diagnostic. Then the data scientist would answer the question of what will happen in the future. I want to predict, I want to know what the future would look like. And that's predictive analytics. Okay. So these are some of the best career path you'd like to get into. Is a career path that made me work in financial services back in Nigeria, working with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates. Worked in the financial services sector, the energy sector. I moved to the UK. I worked with the automobile sector, still as a data analyst. Before I left Nigeria, I worked for two companies in the US, also as a data analyst and a data scientist. These are the best career path for those who are looking to pivot, looking to transition, looking to land a job. These are the areas you want to get into. So thanks for joining us today. God bless you too, iPhone. And I hope you had an amazing time. Follow us across all platforms, all social media platforms. And I hope to see you in class. Have an amazing time. And I'll see you in another session in the future. Cheers, everyone, and have an amazing week ahead of you.